So you guys might recognize this. This is the onboarding project. It's kind of just become the home for everything tutorial for you guys. So we're going to kind of walk through some things. So we're going to start with uploading. Are you there? I feel like my internet's slow today too.
Yeah, you're doing some freezy stuff too, Sarah. But it seems to be catching up. So it's not too bad. Can everyone see my screen? Is it shared properly? Yep. Okay, great. Okay, so we wanted to go over with you guys just the basic uploading. Right now, everybody has probably noticed that we don't have our button here right now. That's a temporary situation. We'll get it back. But for now we don't have it. So you need to do is I keep 2 tabs open to make it easier for myself. But you just, when you go into your main login, you can either look at your project page where it shows all of your projects. This is where, when you first log in, this is where you get to. But then you just go to your personal library and you just use this upload button. So one of the issues is we only have 20 allowable models to have in our personal library, but it's okay, because once you use the model in your project, once you drop it in, it won't come out of that project. You can delete it from this folder here and it will stay in your project. Now, if you need it again for another project, you'd have to re-upload it, but you don't have to worry about only having 20 model uploads. Just delete ones from another project. So mine is maxed out right now, but I don't need all of these. So I'm not using this one right now. So you just go here in your library and of these 3 dots, and then you just delete it and just get rid of it. And now it's gone. And now I have a spot for another model. Yes, ma'am.
Annalee, real quick, this is going up to
I'm sorry, Jen, I didn't hear you.
They have to manually, this is going up to 100 for everybody. 100 models. It shouldn't be at 20 actually. It should be at 100, but they have to go in and manually do this for everybody. So it's taking a while. So it'll be at 100, and then I'm working on deals, but there should be 100 coming to your account soon. They are coding all of that stuff for you guys on the back end.
Yay! That's great news. Thank you, Jenna.
Yeah, so
for in the meantime, then that's your workaround.
Maxed out at 100. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, same thing if you max out at your 100. So, okay. So for uploading, you just click the upload button, and then I have a folder here where I keep all of my models and things that I want to upload. I just have a SketchUp folder that I keep everything in, and all you have to do is grab that file.
And we want to let everybody know it doesn't matter what folder these files are in. You can upload them from anywhere.
No. Yeah, however your personal system is that you like to organize yourself on your computer. If it's all in your download folder or whatever, however you do it. So I don't know if you guys saw, I just dragged that file over and dropped it into the screen, and then it just pops up. And then you can name it here. You can change the name, or you can just leave it at whatever the file name is. And then you tell it what it is, what category it's in. And so this is furniture, and it's a chair, which they have under sofas, and it's an armchair. And then this window here, this option here, this tells you where it sits. So even if it sits on a table, this tells it where it orients. So this sits on the floor, so it's floor furniture. If it was a mirror or a wall art, it would go to the wall, or something that sits on the ceiling. So this tells it what plane to orient it to. So even if it sits on a table, you still select it for the floor. So that just tells you how it's going to read that. And then if you're going to do your own, if you want your own windows or doors, then definitely make sure you choose door and window in these categories, and then it will act just like the rest of the doors and windows in the public library. So you can drag it over and it will pop into the wall. You don't have to make a hole in the wall or anything like that. It will act just like another door or window. So I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. But this is the floor furniture, and then you just submit your model, and if you go to check models, it'll bring you back to your library, and then you can see here. Now I uploaded this a little while ago to check it. Sometimes this takes a few minutes for it to render here, and then when you go back, so it's going to show twice over here, and it doesn't always pop up instantly right here in your library. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not. So you need to wait for it to finish rendering, and then over here, sometimes you can pop out of there and then go back into your uploads and it'll show up, but it's not there. So what you have to do is you have to refresh. So if you just, on a PC, if you click F5 on your keyboard, or you can click the little refresh button up in Chrome, but refresh your screen and then it should show up when you come back. So I should have 2 of those chairs now. Yay, there it is. Okay, so that's uploading your models in general. Sarah, what did we want to go through next? Have we lost Sarah?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. You disappeared for a second.
Yeah, like I got out and got back in because it was freezing. So if you refresh and it doesn't show up, sometimes you have to exit out of your project and open it back up. It's just a little buggy thing. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But it's something that Annalee and we have to do all the time. So don't worry, it'll be there if you upload it. So then uploading materials. Pretty much the same process.
Before you guys move on, Sarah, there's been a few questions. If you guys want to just answer them before we move on to the next thing. Can you adjust the size of your windows and doors after they've been entered? I'm sorry, I am so lagged. I apologize.
Yeah,
and I don't
everything is real laggy.
Mm-hmm. So bear with us. I'm sorry. We're not trying to cut each other off. We just can't hear each other. Okay, so if you guys want to check out the messages here and just kind of go over those real quick.
All right. So
Sarah, I can't see the questions.
Okay, I'll take care of that then.
Okay.
So after you import, like if you're importing your own windows and doors, you can change the size of those within reason. For whatever the case is, like the scale has to kind of work, but if you import a door, sometimes import's really tiny and then you can change it to like 6'8" by 36. You shouldn't have any problems with that. So yes, you can.
Yeah. So what happens, what Sarah is saying is that it comes in one unit. So if you stretch it, then all of the parts are going to get out of scale from themselves. So if you need to resize it drastically, you should do that before you import it. But you can, a little bit here and there, but it'll start to look stretched if you do it too much.
Okay, so where does this model and the platform, or does it have to be done? So yeah, Dawn, you can resize pretty much any model that you bring in. Again, within reason, it does cap out. So you ideally, if you are a SketchUp user, go ahead and just do it there. But for people who don't use SketchUp, yeah, within reason, you can go ahead and adjust that. So we're actually going to get in, Shelley, to uploading JPEGs because you can upload your materials that you find from your vendors online. So, Annalee, do you want to go in and show how we do that in the other window?
Yeah. Lola, I'm in a thing. We'll talk about it later, okay?
Okay, well, they look really good. They look like
Lola, I'm like,
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Well, we're in a webinar.
Coworkers. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Okay, what am I doing? Let's see. So, okay, so I just imported materials, yes. So I just imported this chair. So I'll pull it in so we can look at it. And let me look at it in, you have to change the materials on any of the items, you have to be in your 3D view. And then when you click on it, this window will come up for your material editor. And so that's where you want to go to change anything on any of the models. Now you can change anything on the models that you upload, and you can change the public library stuff and the white label stuff, but the enterprise library stuff are real products. So those have their own materials, and we don't change those because those come how they come. But on your own stuff, you do it in this window. And the public library has a lot of materials. So I encourage you to look through here and see if there's anything. There's a lot of stuff that can work in here, especially lots of solids. Now, we're designers, so we use custom fabrics a lot. So
great metals and great wood finishes.
Yeah.
Start there because there's seamless textures, and a seamless texture, if you've uploaded anything already on your own and you get the tiling, we call it the tiling effect, where it's squares, these materials won't have that. So use those when you can, because you're cutting out some work for yourself.
And they have a lot more control over the textures that they upload. When we upload our own, and I'll show you here in a second, we only have a certain amount of options that we get. But when they do it on their end, they can make the textures a lot more realistic. So there's anything that you can pull from here, I highly suggest using, especially like Sarah said, the woods and the metals and any of these like plain fabrics. I mean, they look really great when they're rendered. They never look good in this window, but they look good when they're rendered. So if you want to upload your own, you go here to your little My Account and you upload a material here. And then you have to tell it what it is before you can select it. And it gives you options here of what they are. So this is something I know people have had trouble when they've brought something in and it like renders really shiny or something, or it doesn't look like the texture that they want. So that's why I suggest trying different ones here. There's different fabrics. And if you hover over it, it'll tell you like, this is a carpet. This is silk.
And don't get super attached to the name of things, because one, I'm going to be changing them, and two, these are labels based on how the texture is going to perform. So even though it says carpet, if you have a fabric that's really, really nubby, use the carpet setting because it's going to show all that texture. Don't worry about the details of that so much. And then this like V Fabrics lint, that's what you use for velvet. I know it sounds crazy, but it gives it that sheen. So I'm working on changing these so they'll be easier for you guys to identify, but just play around like Annilee said. Like that's how we learn.
Yeah. And sometimes you think it's going to be one and then it just doesn't look right in the lighting or something. So just try a different one. And it's part of rendering. Sarah and I were talking about this earlier, that a lot of times in our renders, we kind of fake stuff to make it look how we want it to look. We don't always use the exact Sherwin-Williams paint color or whatever, because it's just not going to render right in the light, so you just play around with different things to get the look that you want. It's kind of part of the process. It's not always going to be the first one you pick. I have deleted and uploaded the same finish, 5 or 6 times sometimes, just trying to play around with seeing what's going to give me the look that I want. So, and I'm guessing is this gauze, maybe, is that like maybe that's like the sheer stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So you pick from you pick what it is first, and then you choose what you're going to upload. I did not have this part prepared for you guys. So let me pull let me get a folder open for you guys. Sorry, I did not have this pulled up and ready to go, but I
So while
do
you're doing that,
have,
Annalee, I'm going to answer some questions.
okay, great.
Can we, okay, I'm going to scroll up here. Okay, uploading a single product from Chief Architect, you export it from Chief Architect as a DAE, an STL, any of those, DXF, and then you have to import it into SketchUp and save it as. We've got a ton of, Annalee's got tutorials on this, so check those out.
And if you're in Chief, if you can export it as a 3ds and then open that up in SketchUp Pro, if that's what you're using, that's the best way to do it. That gives you all your textures, puts it together in a good way. But if you also look on my chart too, it'll tell you which programs do which exports.
Can I upload a tile and add it to my wall editor? Absolutely. You can upload anything you want and apply it wherever you want.
Yeah, so I'll do a tile.
Is there a video
Need
for
you guys
outdoor
to be more
settings?
specific though about what a JPEG is versus as a 2D image, and it's not a 3D image, because we're getting that question again. Can you just upload a JPEG? You cannot just upload a JPEG if it has dimension to it. Okay, you have to think 2D versus 3D. 2D would be like for wallpaper, artwork, tile, you know, anything that's flat. And then if you need like a chair, dimensions. That is a 3D model that has to be built in SketchUp, Chief Architect, and converted over. Okay, 2 totally different dimensions here.
Literally, dimensions.
Yeah, you can't upload an image of a chair and then the platform make it into a 3D chair. It won't do that. You can upload a 2D image of the room and it'll draw the walls for you, but it won't build a chair for you.
Okay, so did you find your fabric?
Yeah, but then it didn't drag right, and then I had to reopen my thing. So here we are. So you guys are seeing.
For questions on outdoor settings, you guys, that literally is advanced stuff. We'll come out with that at some point, but it's literally advanced for the platform.
What was the question?
It's gonna take a little time. Is there a video for outdoor settings?
There is. It's new in the playlist.
It's in there.
It just went up this week. So I go into how to set up an outdoor area and do the lighting for it and everything. So
yeah. So Susan, while she's doing this, I'm going to talk about you're changing a basic color of a bench without changing the texture. It's the same thing. If you change the color, you're changing the texture. So if you're wanting, let's say, a wood, and you want it to be a wood texture, but a different color, then you have to upload a new texture to change it. So those things go hand in hand.
Yeah, that question has come up before about can you change the color of the materials in here, and you can't use one of their woods and make it a different color wood. You have to find it. You have to find one that's close enough. So I'm just going to do a what am I doing? Am I doing a fabric? Sorry, you guys. This is how it really goes, though.
So you can't export SketchUp, or you can't export anything 3D out of the platform. You can only export like AutoCAD floor plans. Let's see here. I have a wood table I need to change to black wood. We're showing you the process right now. Even though this is a table, it would be the same process.
So see, you guys, I have a rendering folder and I just keep all my materials in it. And so this is a fabric that I had found, and I chose linen for it because it's kind of a little linen-y texture. So we'll see if it looks how we want it to look. And it's uploading, so it takes a second sometimes. Was there any more questions? I wish I could see the questions.
Oh yeah, it's okay. Let's see here. Yes, white walls are the walls default to white. Yep, we've already covered the JPEG versus a 3D model. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so that uploaded my fabric to that to my library, and it shows up a lot more quickly over here than it does when you upload a 3D model. And then I just applied it to my little pillow here. So over here, you can make any adjustments if you need to. So, if you wanted that pattern more centered as you would on a pillow, you can do that. You can adjust the scale somewhat. So you can make adjustments here, but that's it. That's how you do your own material. So that would be the same process if you're doing any other material. So there's a difference between your materials and your textures. Yeah, so the materials are anything that are going to go onto your 3D models, and then the textures are anything that's going to go onto your architecture, like your floors or your wall coverings or things like that.
So let's show that really quick then.
Okay. So that's a material. So if you want something, and it's going to show you, so that's if you, oh, hello, zooming in. All right, so I'm done with this. So if you wanted to upload a flooring material or something that you can use while you're looking in this mode, then you're going to want to do that over here back in your personal library, over here in finishes. So this is where I've uploaded tiles that I've used. I don't know what our limit is in here for finishes. I've got 8.
It'll be going up as well.
Okay, good. So it's the same process here. You just go to the upload, and then you drag from your folder. My folder's on my other screen, so you couldn't see that, but I'm just dragging that over here, just like you would your model. And then in this window, it's going to give you different options than in the material editor. So it doesn't like that name because it's super long. So I'm just going to change it to tile. So in here, again, the things that you choose in here tells it how to render it. So if you wanted to
also, I'm going to just jump in really quick. It also, based on what you call it and its position, will allow you to use it in your wall editor.
Yes. Yes. So, right. So the wall editor only has like 4 options of categories in there. And I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but you have to tell it that so that it shows up in your wall editor. But this tells it what it's going to look like, if it's going to be matte or shiny or what it is. So, and we're working on some of these names, right, Sarah? So we can. Yeah. So I think tile is usually I put it under stone usually. And I don't know, this one's shiny, so I'm just going to call it marble. And then it's a wall tile. And then this is an important part when you're uploading, because this tells it what size to put it into your project. So what you have to do before you upload it, you have to crop it so that it will tile together, so that the left side lines up to the right side and the top lines up to the bottom. So when they all go together, they are seamless. Right. So you can do that just by cropping the image.
To note about that size,
are we laggy?
This is another thing. I think am I frozen? Okay, am I back?
You're in and out. So I'll just continue. Once you crop that, you need to know what your size is here. So if you know that this is a 4-inch tile, so then this is another 4-inch tile. So this is going to be like maybe 9 inches high. So by, 9 inches wide. So that's the size you want to put in here. Whatever, like if this was a real sample that you were holding in your hand, whatever the size of this is in real life is what you want to put in here, because that's how it's going to go onto the wall. So I know that some people were running into size issues, and that's the important part right there. Well, however you crop this, so if I were to crop this down to this one and it was just a 4x4, I'd put 4x4 in here. So are you back, Sarah? Did you have something, do you want to add something else, Sarah?
Oh, and the platform will let you kind of scale this a little bit more and fine tune it if you need to. But you know what? This is another thing that I'm sure, Annalee's been in the same boat where it's like, nope, that didn't work, delete, re-upload.
Yeah.
So
to get it, because it will let you resize it a little bit, but if you know what the size is, it's a lot easier just to put it in here and then it goes in exactly how you want it. And then you just submit it.
Okay, I'm going to answer a question real quick.
Okay, great.
Do you have to download the fabric into a folder to upload it to your library, or can you directly download? Anything you download goes into a folder somewhere in your computer.
But you can't take it from their website. You can't like drag it from their website to this page. No. You have to have it on your computer somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. Did we cover that topic, Sarah? What's next?
Yeah. Okay. Let's kind of get into, the rendering area. And we'll look at some views and touch on some lighting.
Can I just add something real quick? Annalee?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm lagged and I can hear myself talking on your computer. Okay, so when you are adding the products, something that we've developed for the Design in 5 software that's coming, when you add your product names to any of your personal libraries, try and name them what they're actually called from that vendor, because pretty soon this render software is going to talk to Design in 5 and it's going to allow you to export every single product that you add from here or that you have in your white label library that you used in a project or that you've used in the enterprise library. So when you do that and then you export the bill of materials, and there's videos for that, but when you do that and bring it over to Design in 5, you can edit everything and then you can create a quick shopping list using that. So the two programs are going to speak to each other so that you can present everything and embed it right on your website or create a clickable shopping list from all these products. So the better you can name them here, the less editing you're going to have to do when they transfer over to the Design in 5 software. Just a quick little tip for you, because you can also add your e-commerce link. That's our newest feature that they added for us to the platform. You can add your e-commerce link, material, price, all of this data here will be sent over to your Design in 5 so that you can create your shopping list for your client. So if your e-commerce link does not go to like a retail site or to an affiliate site or wherever, and you're actually selling the product to your client, then you'll just add your invoice there. And then when they click that invoice, they just order it and pay for it. Okay, we will have videos on that once Design in 5 is released, but the more information you can do here, the more time you're going to save yourself in the long run. That's it.
Right, and yeah, you have to go here. It doesn't give you this options when you first upload it. So once it's uploaded, just go to this and then go to edit, and then you can put all that information in. And then in the finishes, you can rename it to whatever you want, whatever that product is called. Thank you, Jenna. Okay. All right. So
hop into the rendering area.
Yes. So we're just going to kind of touch on the different options over here in your rendering window. The first one is your front view. That's going to give you any of your regular perspective views, your one-dimensional image that creates. So that's what your front view is. Your top view is what you want to do if you want to do a rendered floor plan or a bird's eye type view. So with that one, you have the option to put your camera up here at 90 degrees. And that gives you the straight on top view. You can adjust the angle here like that. So if you want that 3D perspective top view, or you can do a flat rendered floor plan. So that's what you're going to get in that top view. And there's other options that you can choose, but we're just going to kind of touch on those options for you if you didn't know that you could do that. And then this is how you do the 360 panoramas. It's just in this panorama tab. And what you want to do is in your 2D view, place the camera where in the room you want that to be. And then if you're going to tie this in and make a 720 walkthrough, wherever you place this camera is where those little white spots are going to be your navigation points. So bear that in mind. If you're only doing the one room, just whatever angle is best for you, it's going to depend on your room and your furnishings and what you've got in there. But bear in mind, if you're going to tie those together, that's where your navigation points are going to be. But
for the 360, ideally you want to be center-ish in the room.
Yeah. So especially in a room like this. Now on this one, I kind of placed it a little bit off center because I have that table there and it was kind of awkward. So you can play around with that. And then when I did this little powder room here, I did place it in the corner because otherwise you couldn't see anything. So it just depends on the room size and what you've got. But yeah, ideally in the center. So as close to center as you can get it. Now, when you are doing your 360s, when you're going to do your 720s to walk from one room to the other, you have to be able to see that hotspot from one room to the next. So if I've got this hotspot here and I want to be able to walk here into the entry room, I've got to have a navigation point here so that I can see from that door to door. It won't let you navigate over to the next room if you can't see that navigation point. So that takes a little bit of planning, but you don't have a limit on generating the 360s, but you do have a limit on your 720s. You only get 10 per month. And
that's not 10 projects. That's only 10 720s.
10 720 generations. Y'all, I used up mine in one day, in an hour, because I didn't realize, I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and I was playing around with it, and I just kept regenerating it, trying to see what it would do. Oh, what if I do this? And then it said no more. I wasn't allowed to do anymore.
Yeah. So your test render for the 720s are running your pano views.
Yeah. So you run the panorama, and so you get your camera placed. And then you want to, now somehow I'm still in millimeters, but you want to follow most of your same guidelines as you do with your still photos. Make sure, your camera's straight, because it doesn't matter once you're into it because you look all around, but this does kind of set up the starting point of what it looks like when it starts. And you don't have the rest of the camera options over here like you do in the stills, but you do have your lighting and your backgrounds. So you do want to make sure you set those up and test render those maybe with a still view and make sure you've got those set up how you want them. But then aside from those basic setups, that's all you do. Then you just hit render and it generates that whole 360 for you.
So while that's popping into render, let's touch on lighting a little bit, because there was a lot of questions about that in the group last night. And I want to let you guys know that the best thing about this software is not having to rig the lights. So I'm super curious to see what you guys are experiencing, because it shouldn't be this difficult. And I primarily don't usually add any lighting. I know Annalee does a little bit, but honestly, if you just work with the default and you do your test render and you're seeing hot spots, Annalee, do you want to go into edit and kind of show them what that looks like?
Yes. So what I usually do is I get my camera set up how I want, and then I run a daylight, and then I run a fresh. I run a test render with all the different presets. And I kind of see what's going to give me the vibe that I want kind of generally overall, and see how that's looking. And then whichever one is the closest to the feeling that I want to have or the look that I want to go for, then I check to see if, okay, are there any weirdness or hot spots or glaring points or anything like that. And so once you're to that point, then you go here into your customize and you pick this one, whichever one it was. We'll do the natural daylight, and you confirm that, and it takes you into this customization.
So, and
window.
if you've done your test render and you see like somewhere that's just overlit, it looks like, you know, there's a light there, but there's no light there and it's glaring on the wall, odds are it's the default settings, and you can go in there and just delete that light.
Yes, and you can see like this one, because I have an outdoor part of this scene, so I've got a lot of more lights than probably usually turn up. But you can see what it does. It rigs all these lights for you. And some of them it adds, like these are all can lights. So it's added a down light to all of those. But then like right here, this is just a random light that it added. And it may or may not be doing anything for the scene. It may be adding one of those hotspots. So that's what you're gonna wanna look for. If you see a weirdness or something that's shining on the wall or whatever it is, something that you don't like, just take note, okay, where is that? It's in that middle of that carpet right there. Okay, there's a light there. I can just get rid of that. I can get rid of that, or I can adjust that. If I like a light there and maybe it's just too bright, I can go over here. See, that one's got it set at pretty bright. So I could just turn that down. Or maybe this is a dark corner that it's a little too dark and I wanted it more bright. I can brighten that up. You can change the color temperature over here. You can go in and fix and change any of those weirdness things that you don't like. And if it's overall too dark, you can add more lights over here. These are just these rectangle lights, and it's just a kind of general ambient down light if you just need to brighten up your room.
And there's also something that seems to be popping up a lot where renders are either coming out too dark or too light. And before you even get into this, you can actually change the brightness of your exterior scene.
Yes. So let me go back out of here.
We probably should have touched on the preview.
Okay, yeah, I'll go back to that. Let me just show you what Sarah was just saying. Over here, when you choose your background, so right now I've got the woods background. There's this little teensy button right here that has a couple of things. So you can rotate it around if you want to see something different out of that particular window. And then you can also adjust the exterior brightness with that. Oops, I left it. So that adjusts the bright, I keep getting out of it. That adjusts the brightness of the image itself. It doesn't really change the lighting. I've played around with this a bit. It does have an effect on the overall look of the lighting, but it's more like when you adjust a JPEG image or something and it's brightening out. You see, it's like blowing out that image. So that is an option. And I just made it pitch black somehow. There we go. So that's what Sarah was saying there. So you want to show the preview and the lighting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just because I know like some of you guys are a little bit scared to try new things because you're afraid you're going to break it or ruin it. This has a little, safety net for you, and you can hit preview for any of your changes before you hit save, so you can see how it would render to see if maybe you got that hot spot that was, rendering really bad. So this is something to, make you guys feel better about getting into this, because this is really the technical side. I honestly don't really get into this very often when I do my renderings, just because the program is so robust and so good in what it offers with just the basic settings that for the most part, you shouldn't have to worry about this.
No, I do it very little for what I usually do in other programs. In other programs, that doesn't do any of this for you. You have to literally do every single bit of this lighting by yourself. So I do very little. I just go in and make adjustments so that I customize. And I'll show you another thing that I personally like to do for mine. So it's giving me a preview here and it's not showing any of my furniture for some reason. I don't know why I did that. But it gives you just a little very low resolution preview.
Of how it would
did I
render.
turn my furniture? What's that?
Of how it would render.
Yeah. So I use the preview occasionally. I personally prefer to just exit out and do a test render. That way I have a reference to go back to, because I like to then open that image up in another window and then I can have it open. If I need to make adjustments, I can be looking at that image and I have a reference back to what I need to change or not change. When you do a preview, it's there, but you can't really get back to it. So I personally like to do just go back and do a test render and then I have that for reference. But the other thing you can do over here in your lighting is you can adjust the sun settings here. So if you want to have, or if it's doing this and you don't like it, if you want to have the sunlight coming through a window or something like that, which I like to do a lot, if you want to be able to adjust how your shadows are coming through, this is how you would do that. So you can see this part better in the 2D. So this line here is that direction of the sun. So I can move that around. So if I wanted sunlight to come streaming through those windows and make like shadows coming off of those pieces of furniture, I would turn it so that it's coming that way. And then this one adjusts the time of day. So like up here would be noon, where, you know, the sun is up high. And then this would be like evening or morning, where the sun is lower and coming in through your windows. So that's just another adjustment you can do for, you know, if you wanted especially if you were doing a night scene, or, you know, you wanted some specialty atmosphere to your lighting, you can play around with the sun and you can change the color of the lighting and the temperature. This is a lot more technical here. It does it all for you. You don't have to do any of this, but that's another thing you can do if you want to. All right, what else with lighting, Sarah?
I think that covers most of it. I just really want to circle back to the fact that you guys don't have to be in here editing this at all.
No.
Use the default settings because they're awesome. Okay,
yeah, and so like I said, just try each of these, try all the different ones and see which one gives you, you know, the closest look to what you're after. Use those test renders, you're unlimited.
Yeah. All right, so we've got some questions. We have 15 minutes left, Annilee. Let's go over some questions.
Okay.
One of them is about additional backgrounds. So Annilee, do you want to navigate to the model library and show them
Yes.
how they can?
All right, I'm going to leave the rendering. So over here in the model library, in the outdoor area, there's a tab called environment. So you can't add any different images over in the rendering window. Those are set. You can't change anything. But if you want to do your own background, this is how you do it. You grab one of these, and there's kind of different sizes and shapes depending on what you're doing. And it's this kind of, it's like a panorama, and you just place it in front of wherever your view is going to be. So if I'm, so now if my camera angle is going to be here, so there's that image there. And then it's the same. So they have images on these, but you change it the same way you do your furniture or anything else. You go into the material editor, and then you can upload your own. And I actually did this before because I wanted this Paris background on one of mine. So I already uploaded, I just found a panoramic image from a stock image website that was free online, and got that. And then you just change the material on it just like you do anything else. And so if you have a picture of your neighborhood.
So now you have a customized background.
Yep, and now We're in Paris.
All right, so next question is shiny surfaces. Could you pop into the enterprise library and import a model and show them how they need to change or basically select the material that's available? So you guys, when I upload these things, it doesn't allow me to build it into the model. I just upload the model and then assign the materials to it. You guys have to go in, and I know it's an extra step, but it's not really any more work. But this is something that has to be done for all of our enterprise models so that they render correctly. You have to go in and tell it, read the material.
So I've just pulled this ottoman here, and you always have to be in your 3D to see your material editor. But this is, yeah, so like Sarah said, this is true for all the enterprise stuff. So the window looks slightly different than when you go into other pieces. You don't have all the other choices because these are, like I said, these are real products, and you can't make them into something else because these are all linked to real products. And like when everything else that launches with the links and the shops and everything, these will all go to your real affiliate links. But you change it out the same way. So you select it and then you select the material for it. So this one only has one material. Does this one have two materials? Yes. So you select the component depending on the piece. It's going to have different parts to it. So this one has a top and it has a side. And so the top has that X pattern. And so I'm going to select that. Is it doing it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the side, you choose the component here. And then choose its material there. And then it changes it out.
There you go.
And that's all you do. And then it'll render properly how it's supposed to, and it won't look shiny.
Okay, let's see. So we got that. All right, so Lon, that I would recommend watching Annalee's outdoor video, because that's, when you start getting to outdoor stuff, it gets a little bit more advanced. So you're going to want to watch the video for that. Let's see. Outdoor backgrounds, we covered that. Yes, there will be a recording of this. I think Mimi had a question. So Mimi, like we can't, when you upload the materials, like it just puts it together itself. Like you don't lay that out. You can pick the origin of like where the pattern starts. If you want to maybe pop into like material editor, Annalee. Did I freeze again?
No, you're there.
Okay. No, like the, I'm sorry, the wall editor.
Wall editor.
Yeah.
Let me get a good wall.
Okay.
All right, I didn't question.
All right, so here we've got Annalee's wall, and do you want to show them where your uploaded material went that we selected that was a wall tile?
I don't know that did I do it as a wall tile? I did do it as a wall tile. There it is.
So you just drag and drop that in. Now, if you click on that, you can, that control tells you where to start the repeat. So you can do your top left. Do you see it all the way on the left, Annalee?
Yep.
There you go. Yeah, and so you can center it. You can pick the location of where the repeat starts. I hope this kind of
this tile might not be showing it very well because it's not a huge repeat, but but yeah, so there's how you control those. Oops. So it's like with the fabric that I had on that cushion too. You can scoot it around.
Yeah, but we can't change the scale of it here. We can only change the position and the rotation of it.
Yeah. Yes, no scaling.
No scaling on this, but it's just a nice tool to be able to go in and edit this, because you could also, you know, apply your wall moldings or whatever you need to do all in this one place, and you're not having to navigate through your model. Let's see. You upload a 3ds model from a vendor. Jody, it needs to be a 3ds max file. 3ds file is something completely different, and that may have just been you quickly typing, but I just want to make sure that don't buy a 3ds model because it won't upload. And yes,
the dot max, dot max.
Yeah. Yes, you can change the materials in that as well, because they'll usually import with like a bunch of colors. And if you've downloaded if you bought those, they will usually come with their own materials too, and you can upload those and apply them. All right, guys. Is there anything that I'm missing on the message? Okay.
I just got one in a DM, and I don't know. Guys, I've made like 2 rooms in this program and I love it, but I have no time to play, so I can't answer these things. The question is, in the lighting in the past few days, my images, the lighting looks like it's super exposed. I know that there's a PDF in the main group that does go over how to change this. Because some people have gotten this. Also in the Trello board, it's on the Trello board for support. It seems to be helping everybody that has had this issue. So if you want to search those 2 areas, it should be able to help you out with that PDF.
You do not have to have SketchUp Pro to import from Chief Architect, but you do have to have some form of SketchUp. The platform does not read Chief Architect files. You just have to navigate it from one program to another. It's just kind of the process, and I know it probably seems like a little bit of a headache, but you guys, this is the world of rendering.
Yeah, it's that way. Any rendering program that you use, you have to export it and put it into something else. There is no one program that literally does everything. You have to do it this way.
Okay, Jerry, any model that you click on and that material editor pops up, you can change the fabric. So it works the same for anything. If you click on something, there's no material editor, then no, but anything that you import from like the white label library and you can click material editor, you can change it. So, you know, pillows, sofas, drapery, rugs, anything. Also, that reminds me, you guys, Annalee, can you show them that enterprise, the material folder?
Yes.
So this is basically my folder for applying materials to all the models. I can't hide it from you guys, but there's nothing in there for you. It looks like they're nice textures, but that's not, these are created just for our models. And
yeah. And you see what happens if I try to use it on the floor? That's not what it's meant for.
Yeah. So stay out of that.
Yeah, we don't want that. But if you want to use the jaipur, you go into the rug folder, right?
Yes. And there it is.
I think.
Oh no, that was the picture.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so the labeled ones are the materials, but the named folders are the items themselves, right, if I'm saying that right. Yeah. So here's where you'd go to find the rugs. And here's that same rug, but here's the actual rug, not the image of the rug. If that's making sense.
And then you go in your material editor and apply the material.
Yes, material editor, the same way we did on the poof. You select the component.
So those
and then
files that you're seeing, this is where that material is coming from.
Yeah, so now that'll render properly. But yeah, don't go into those folders with the names, because with the images, don't use the images.
And I'll try to reorganize those so at least there's one folder instead of a bunch, because I know it might be a little bit misleading for you guys. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap up. Are there any like last minute questions? Can you customize book accessories, name, etc. for different name? If you want to go through the hassle of customizing a book, then you need to find the image and apply it to a book. It works the same way. Yep, you gotta do it in Photoshop. Like it's can you use HDRI images as backgrounds? Is HDRI, that's for other rendering stuff. No, you just want to do a regular image for the backgrounds. And I think you also had asked about bumps. When you go in and you select the material properties, that's going to assign the bump and do all that stuff. So that's what's so cool about this is you guys don't have to worry about layering all these different types of image to create one texture. The platform does it for you. Okay, Mimi, yeah, yes and no, but it's all, we took care of your question for you. How would I make a larger sill, make the wall thicker? And when you just, a larger sill. So the sills come with the windows. We have no control over that.
Right, this question came up earlier and you just changed the wall thickness here.
Yep.
And that recesses, it looks like it's stretching that window, but it's actually, if you can, you might not be able to see it. It actually recessed that window back and gave you that that recessed area.
So.
Yeah. So you can see it better if I do it up to the top. So you just increase your wall thickness.
Super easy.
Yep.
And then if you do that after you've applied your crown, then you'd have to go through and reapply your crown and your base after that.
Yes.
So kind of order of operations with things. So, okay, you guys, we've covered everything we had on our list.
Did we get all the questions?
Yeah, I think so.
So this will be monthly, guys. They're going to do another one next month. And I did put a link in here for you if this was a little bit over your head. I don't know what to, oh, screen share.
Sorry, I turned it off.
Okay.
I didn't warn you.
If this was a little bit more advanced for you, that's because this is kind of part 2. This is the second one that they've done. So go ahead and check out the YouTube channel and look for the first episode. I dropped the link in the comments too. And if you just need to start there, then start there. This was definitely more advanced. And then we'll do this early next month as well, around this time. So watch for the invite for that, okay? Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.